Hi, I'm John Peterson, the Executive Artistic Director and founder of P3 Theater Company. If you would like to find out more about what P3 is doing at this time to give back to the community and to keep our artists engaged, please visit our website at p3theater.biz or continue watching.
When did you first hear about P3 and also about this specific project with P3?
All right, I'll go first. Jeremy Saje. I first heard about P3 when I was doing Jekyll and Hyde with John, and basically kind of stayed late one night hanging out, and he was talking about this theater company that he was starting, and I was like, okay, that perked up. I want to hear about this, and heard about the stuff that they were doing. It sounded pretty cool, so I wanted to see about being a part of it. Didn't end up getting to that production, but when this came about, John contacted me, and I was happy to say yes.
Philip McBride. I first heard about P3, I believe I saw some stuff that John was kind of promoting on his Facebook page, but also I had heard about it through Betsy, who is also our stage manager on this, and I believe resident stage manager of P3, because we've been friends for quite a while. And then when John was talking about doing Laramie Project, I jumped at the chance just because I've always loved the show. I remember in high school hearing about this happening and like not really being sure if it was like safe to go out, because I was growing up in Texas as well. So it was like, what's going on in our world that this is happening? So the minute it came up, I knew I had to like be a part of it somehow.
Alden Bettencourt. I first heard about P3 actually through Backstage. I was in the middle of finishing out my first gig after undergrad last year. I was doing a touring Shakespeare company, and I noticed that there's this new company right next to where the one I was currently working with was, and they were doing a Vita. And so I went out and went to those auditions and got to meet John and some of the other awesome creative team, and then ended up doing a Vita with them. And he contacted me about doing Laramie Project, and I, same thing, jumped at the chance. This is an amazing story, and I'm a storyteller first before an actor, so that's why I jumped at the chance.
John emailed me, and I was really excited to work with all these people again and to tell this story and to just be a part of theater, even Zoom theater, in any way that I could during this time, because it is so important to me as a creative person to keep refilling the well, keep being inspired, and sharing live experiences with people. I've been working with P3 for a while, ever since I was an understudy for the MGM and concert show, and then I auditioned for Evita and did that show with them and with several of these cast members on the Laramie Project, which is really cool and great to get to work with them again. And then I also did some piano work for P3, playing keys for Day After Day, the Doris Day show. And so, yeah, just jumping around, dabbling. Was going to music direct a production of Next to Normal that's been pushed to 2021. But theater lives, because we are here and we are still telling important stories, vital stories, because yeah, hate and discrimination and judgment of people who are different from you is still far too rampant. And as much as I wish we didn't have to confront this truth on a daily basis, we do. And so if theater can be a tool to reach more people.
My name's Brouelette. I have known about P3 since it started. John and I have been friends. We worked on a show together a couple years ago, Pirates of Penzance at Children's Theater of Long Beach. And ever since he started the company, I knew it was something that I wanted to be part of. So I've auditioned for a few different things, and timing or whatever hasn't worked out. And I primarily right now in Southern California, I'm working as a singer in bands and acoustic duos. So when the world ground to a halt and gig life, basically disappeared, it was such a neat opportunity, not only to be able to do a play, which I haven't done a straight play since I was in college, but also to be able to be part of a Zoom reading, which I think is really cool. I've always been really proud to be part of this industry and work in this industry, but the way that we as a community have just been able to go, plot twist and turn stage left and keep going, I think is really cool. And, to top it all off with it being a piece that has such an important message and a real message to deliver to people during Pride Month, I think is just, I'm humbled and honored to be part of it.
I am Emily Abeles. I learned about P3 also from backstage. It was the summertime, school was out, and I saw Evita, and I've always admired and loved the show. So I had to audition, and it was local, which is so cool. And to see a new theater and a new company take root in a city as iconic and as, I would say, art affiliated as Long Beach, it was so cool. So I had to audition and ended up booking it along with some of the other lovely cast members in Laramie. And yeah, not too long after that, time kept going on. This pandemic kept going on, and John emailed me about Laramie, and I jumped at the chance, just like many of my other fellow actors here. I haven't done a straight play in many years. And so that was really cool to be able to crack open a play and to read it, because I haven't read a straight play in many a moon. So that was a treat. And then just learning about the subject matter and the characters and researching, because they're all real people. So getting a chance to really, really dive deep and to learn about these people and what they all went through as a community and as through society, interludes was just super, super amazing. And you can't go wrong with learning to adapt to the Zoom format. I think being a part of something like this is really cool. Because we get to play, we get to take advantage of what we can through with everything going on. We get to say, hey, we're taking charge. We're still creating art because nothing can stop us, So I think that's really cool.
I'm Jodi Marks. I heard about P3 from actually some of my friends that I went to college with, and they were just talking about a new company coming up, and I knew I had to go as well. I knew I couldn't miss the opportunity, and I was lucky enough to be a part of Evita, the inaugural cast, and honestly, P3 is just so nice. It's the nicest company I think I've ever had the honor of working with. Everybody is just welcoming. No one has an ego. Everybody just wants to do the work and create a story, and I just love that. And then I actually became a part of the cast a little later than everybody else. So I was watching everybody's intros, I guess, on P3 Theater Company's Instagram posts. So when John asked me to be a part of the company, I jumped at the chance. How could I not say no? And just to be able to do theater during this time, because, we all have that itch. So when you want a job, I was jumping at the chance. I said, give me this project and this story, and it's always important. The subject matter is prevalent today, so I knew that it was something I really, really wanted to be a part of. So thank you, John.
Why is this subject matter so important? And also tell me about the uniqueness of this play. It's not like the normal play, it's more interviews back and forth. So tell me the importance, why it's still important today, and also the format of this play.
Okay, well, I can at least speak to the format and the power of that format. This is the only play I've encountered that literally takes texts from the real people that it's based upon and splices, 200 different interviews together, takes the audience through that timeline. It's a completely different, powerful experience to hear the real words. You really feel immersed in the place, immersed in the story. And I was concerned at first that it was because it wasn't dramatized and because we didn't have the elements of staging and costumes. I was like, is this really going to work? Are we going to be serving these people? They're not characters, they're part of history. Are we going to really be doing them justice? But the play is so well pieced together that if read honestly with the intention to tell the truth of what happened, it performs itself. So I think we've worked hard to achieve that, and yeah, it's really cool the way it's structured.
Jumping off of what Elizabeth said and the structure and format of the play, and that being combined with doing it over Zoom, we have a unique experience where we are connecting person to person, one at a time, with our audience members, telling the story so that it doesn't feel, it's easy to sit back in like 100-seat or 300-seat, however many seat theater, and kind of feel disconnected, like there's actors on a stage just playing this out. But this is in your living room, in your face, and you're going to come face to face with it. And that's so powerful because it really is just a dialogue at that point between you and the audience and telling this powerful story.
And going into the significance of it, I mean, it was almost 22 years ago that this happened. Obviously a different political climate at that point, and yet still all these same issues that they faced back in Laramie, Wyoming in 1998 are still very real issues that anyone can face. I mean, even look at this pandemic right now. There are people of certain ethnicities that are looked down upon because of the way the president has spun this pandemic and saying like, these people created it, or things like that. So it's no different 22 years later that we're still have this divide of like right and wrong, who's on like the good side of the law, who's not, who are the outsiders, and all that. It's unfortunate.
We've come a long way in 22 years, but we haven't at the same time. There are a lot of good people out there that have really helped progress equal rights, anti-discrimination, all of that. But we forget that there are people out there that have an opposite agenda. And as of late, those people have been kind of given the okay to explore their discontent with equality and equal justice. So stories like this that unfortunately are true, they can serve as a reminder to those of us who are on the good side of things that, you know, our work isn't done yet. Like I think it was Elizabeth said earlier, you know, we have a story to tell. The story needs to be told, and us as actors are blessed to have the opportunity to do so.
Tell me what you want the audience to get from this performance.
Aside from the importance of the message itself, I really want anyone who watches it who isn't specifically part of the theater community to feel and acknowledge the power and importance of actors. I think during this time, people have been using art to get them through, and they might be the same people who devalue artists at every turn, you know, or don't support them, and don't realize how vital they are to the fabric of our society. So I hope that reminds people that we do serve a vital role.
I can just add the simple thing of letting people know what happened. Frankly, I had no idea. Before I started reading the script, I had absolutely no idea who Matthew Shepard was. I had no idea any of this had ever even happened. I realized looking at the dates, this was a time in my life when I was completely ignorant of the news, didn't care to look at the news at all. So I never knew what happened. And now I do. And now I can be affected by it. So even though it's so many years later, and we like to hope that attitudes have changed, though they really haven't changed as much as they should have, it's definitely a good thing to bring it back up into the public light and let people know that, hey, this is something that did affect people.
I think just on a broader scale, even zooming out from the specific issue of Matthew Shepard, I just think that the ideas that it's not difficult to be kind and have compassion towards other human beings, regardless of their gender, their sexual orientation, the color of their skin, the side of the political spectrum that they lay on. It's just, we're living in a really divisive time right now. It seems like every idea becomes super polarizing, and it's either black or it's white. There's no gray area. There's no in between. And I think that that's really something that's missing from our society as a whole right now, is the ability to still show kindness and compassion, even if someone else is doing something in a different way than you would do it. And I think that idea is just really important for all of us, just on a human level. That's really been on my heart lately, and something that I've been trying to practice throughout this super strange time that we all find ourselves in. And then obviously you have the added layer that we're welcoming Pride Month with doing this reading. And so more specifically, I think just acceptance and allowing people to be who they are at their core without judgment, and to be supportive of people in all of their endeavors, regardless of whether or not they match up with your criteria of good or bad or right or wrong, I think is something that we should all look at more.
I hope people will walk away being more compassionate, and also looking at themselves maybe a little bit deeper and seeing the bigger picture, because everybody sees the articles or the videos now because of social media, but no one actually takes the time to think of, oh, their family, or, oh, that community. They're like, oh, it didn't happen to me, so, oh, that's a horrible, horrible act. But they don't take the time to actually sit there and think, my actions could affect, or I could help, or I could do something better. And seeing this play, how other characters are affected, maybe they'll take something away and be like, oh, that could be me. I could be that person that feels that way, or some type like that. Maybe then they can, I don't know, spread some change, do something in their community. Maybe they go to, maybe a Zoom rally. Who knows what's going to happen during Pride Month? We might all be clubbing and going to parades in our living rooms. But I don't know, just maybe they'll take the time to step out of their comfort zones, take the time to talk to somebody that's different than them and see their perspective in life, and just accept, So that's what I hope that people take away from it. Yeah.
Piggybacking off of that, I think even now, in a situation where so much blame, I feel like, is constantly being pointed in multiple directions, whether or not people wear masks, or whether they don't wear masks, or everything kind of just in between of what the government is doing, what they're not doing, because it's such a rambunctious time. I think this piece of theater is so important because it really shows different vantage points. It shows, it shows that side of society that I feel like a lot of people put on the back burner, even still with the progress we've made currently, being 2020, but there is still a lot of work to do. But it also just teaches so many different variations of love, and how Matthew was loved in a lot of regards. And that's something I think even now in this current pandemic, I think everybody's just kind of looking for different aspects of love, and to be reminded, that not all of this is bad, that good can come from bad. Yeah.
I think one of the greatest things that can be taught from this show is the process of healing, whether it be an entire community, or in the instance of the Shepard family, taking the death penalty off the table from these two people who had done such a horrific act to this person because he was different. And instead of saying, an eye for an eye or something like that, it was, the healing has to start somewhere. And so them taking that stance and being, you know what, we're going to give you life, but from now on, your punishment is that now you must live with yourself every single day and move forward and try and change, and instill that in other people in your family tree and your reach, and just making sure that you each tell your own story and what you've done to improve it.
I think also kind of going off of what Philip said is how we are reminded by the Shepard family that when they did take that death penalty off the table and that these people were forced to live with their actions and think about how to better improve, and how John said, like 20 years since this show was done and produced, we've changed a lot as a society, and we also haven't, because there is a difference between being an ally and being an advocate, and that is action. And so I think that's what I really hope this show leaves people feeling like they can take action and like their voices are valid and like they do play a part in this giant scheme and span of things. And I think that's what they will learn after they see the show, because it's every single person that was interviewed, every news anchor, medical professional, bartender, waitress, everyone played a part in the story, and everyone plays a part of, you know, their loved ones' stories and people they know and people in the community. So I hope they walk away feeling inspired and brave to take action to speak for those who are marginalized in society.
Why is it important to support local theater like P3?
Because theater is for everyone, and if theater becomes monopolized by the richest cities around the world or in the US, then only the people at the top will have it, which would be really tragic, because theater is about exploring, I'm gonna get lost here, the human experience and the multitude of vantage points within that, and everybody, like the level of empathy that you can experience by being exposed to theater is vital, and everyone deserves access to that, and also to whatever catharsis that theater can provide. And also because actors and directors and anyone in the creative realm of theater who is a contributor deserves to have work aside from in 2 or 3 giant monopolizing cities. They deserve to have work where they want to live with their people.
I think it's important to have local theater for kids that are growing up who can't get away to a big city. Like, say they can't go to the Pantages in Hollywood or see something maybe in San Diego. They only have what they have, and this is accessible to them. And also it can be an outlet. It could get somebody maybe off of the streets. It could bring some kind of light to somebody's life who needs it in that moment. And they might not have the most money in the world, but local theater gives them an opportunity to walk in that door and just escape for an hour, 2 hours to another place, and gets them out of their head. And I think theater is great in that sense, where you just get to play. You get to be another person. You get to experience different things. And then maybe you can take that into your own life. And I know a lot of people wouldn't be able to do that if they didn't have local theater. And local theater also brings things to the community and brings a sense of community that you wouldn't get if you didn't have local theater.
I think local theater especially, is important because it's a shared experience. You know, in times like this, I think we're all figuring out that, you know, we're doing a lot more Netflix and Hulu binging than we typically do, but there's literally nothing else like being able to go to the theater. You know, there's studies that have shown that when you go and you sit in an audience with, you know, whether it's 50 people or 5,000 people, your heartbeats sync up when you're watching the same show. It's literally a shared experience. And I think that's a level of enrichment for anyone's life, regardless of their, you know, economic status or how often they get out to the theater. It's just something that's so cool that literally can't be found anywhere else.
So one of the big importances of local theater is it's an opportunity for works that wouldn't necessarily get produced on the larger stages. Talking about, if you look at what's running on Broadway now, it's nothing but rehashes of old movies, because the producers are looking at things and going, okay, what's going to put butts in the seat? What's going to sell? Not what's art? What's actually going to broaden people's horizons? What's going to make people think? because that doesn't necessarily sell tickets as well. So with local theater, we have the opportunity, yeah, we can put on the big, showy Oklahoma musical that everybody will love, and then we can take that money and do the small show, do something that'll actually make people think, that'll actually keep theater in people's hearts and in people's minds.
Like, I forget, like I think it was Kara was saying it's such a shared experience, and actually I think Jodi was saying the same thing. It's just such, it's such this communal effort between what's on stage, what's backstage, what's front of house, everything. And it's just such this like working organism that teaches such wonderful things like teamwork and everything, like for those on the production side, but for the audience, it's just such this amazing like way of being transported into another life. And I think it was Elizabeth that said it teaches compassion and empathy, and just shows like, sure, you may think one thing, but after seeing, you know, this person over here, how they're experiencing it, maybe it kind of shifts your point of view and you're seeing it from a different angle. And if anything comes from that, great. If not, well, you at least know.
I think another thing that's so important about local theater and just theater in general is a sense of identity to those who feel kind of lost. When you go and you see characters play out, or just borrowing from what you told us about yourself, Buell, how Shakespeare literally is an integral part of your life, and change that. Theater is for everyone. Theater will reach people. Art will reach people in crazy ways that you never expected it to, and make us better people and make us better stewards and citizens of our planet and of each other. And there's nothing like it. There's nothing like the electrical feeling of just sitting in a room and watching people be human, but somehow be fantastically wild at the same time.
We are all synced up here on the same page. Local theater, sometimes it envelops an atmosphere of collaboration and of just genuine love of theater that sometimes I feel like you don't get in either bigger cities or bigger corporations. And I think sometimes certain theaters can feel like a corporation. And so it's especially amazing in instances like P3, where, you know, this past year was their inaugural season. So when a brand new local theater opens up, it just opens up a world of new collaborations, of new storytellers, and just from viewing a breakdown of it, of finding out that something like this is opening up and becoming new, it's almost just heartwarming, you know, in a sense, as simple as that is. But it's heartwarming to know that more and more people, their dreams are becoming that much closer to reality, and that they have become reality because they're opening up in a city that's close to their hearts, or that they want to reach more community and they want to reach more people. So in that case, it's just amazing to watch a place like P3 and a local theater like P3 really blossom and really reach so many people who otherwise would have to probably trek all the way to, like what Jodi says, San Diego or Los Angeles to see theater. And there's so much culture in Long Beach. There's so much culture in art. When you just like walk down the streets themselves, they're so windy and crazy. So it's cool that something like P3 gets to represent a city like Long Beach and make it local. It's really cool.
So if you would like to see the Laramie Project, you can visit our website at p3theater.biz. That's p3theatre.biz. On the upper left-hand side of the menu bar is a link for P3 Theater Roulette, which is our monthly play reading series. And you can go on there. You do have to register in advance. It is through Zoom, and there's a limited number of seats that we can give out. So you definitely want to get those before they fill up. We're about half filled now. We can take a total of 100 patrons. There is no charge to see it. All of our actors are volunteering their time and their talents.